This is the original Apple Watch from 2015, and this is my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and they work together in an interesting way. So we've officially passed the 10-year anniversary for the Apple Watch the other day on April 24th, as Apple released the first Apple Watch, which I have right here, on April 24th, 2015. And I still have mine, and it still works. So let's compare this to my Apple Watch Ultra 2. And now, yes, I know the Apple Watch Ultra 2 was officially released in 2023. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 was released in 2024 in black with the Series 10. So technically, shares the same birthday as the Series 10. So let's put them head to head and see how the Apple Watch has changed over 10 years. So let's talk about the design. And now this is probably where the change is most obvious, but the Apple Watch Ultra is robust. The Apple Watch Ultra does not look like the original Apple Watch, but it does share some similarities. So both Apple Watches have a digital crown, they both have a side button as well, and they both function in similar manners. Although the side button on the original Apple Watch opened the dock, now it opens up Control Center on the Apple Watch Ultra 2, and this was changed with watchOS 10. And the original Apple Watch was small, it's polished, it almost looks like a piece of jewelry, and now that's what Apple was initially going for. Fun fact, Apple had the Apple Watch Sport, the Apple Watch, and then the Apple Watch Edition. Now we just have Apple Watch and Apple Watch Ultra. But if you wanted that fitness look, you had to buy the Apple Watch Sport. If you wanted that classier look, you would buy the regular Apple Watch or the Apple Watch Edition. But now you just pick Apple Watch and whatever band you want, and I think that is the perfect way to do it. Now, this Ultra 2 is thick. I'm not going to shy away from it, but it looks good. It pairs well with everything, just like the original Apple Watch. And the Ultra 2 looks like it could survive a hiking trip or just a night out without having to worry about anything. But here's where I was actually initially surprised. The original Apple Watch pairs to my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and now I paired it the other day here, and it works perfectly fine. The only thing I have noticed is, besides being unapologetically slow, because it is running watchOS 4.3.2, and for those of you who are unaware, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is on 11.4. So this Apple Watch still works and is still supported, and I'm all here for that. But the original Apple Watch does connect, does tell the time, and track your fitness, so that's pretty good compatibility from Apple on my iPhone that was released 10 years later than this Apple Watch. It's pretty much a decade of support, which is so impressive. The display on the original Apple Watch was fine for indoor uses, not really so much outdoor. Now, yes, you can still see it and it's okay, but comparing that to what we have now with the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and the Series 10, these watches are in a league of their own now. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 reaches up to about 3,000 nits of brightness and can go as low as 1. Now, the original Apple Watch definitely did not have that compatibility, and you could see it. The Ultra 2 also has an always-on display, so you can see what time it is when your wrist is down, and almost edge-to-edge display. And you can even use it as a bright flashlight, unlike you could with the original one. Let's talk about performance, and I'm using performance in a very generous manner when we are talking about the original Apple Watch. Mainly because of the fact that this Apple Watch was so slow. Now, there was a chip for the Apple Watch. I don't believe Apple started naming them. I do believe this is S0, but I will confirm and it will be on screen with what the chip actually is. But the original Apple Watch wasn't slow. It was deliberate. Now, back in 2015 when this Apple Watch was released, these speeds were probably more than acceptable. But now where we have these instant launching of apps and just making everything work, it's pretty impressive. And if you take a look here at how long it takes apps to open, it's definitely something. So anyone who is using a Series 3 or older, wow. Because I don't know how you do it, because I truly think I would lose my mind just with how slow this is. But then again, this Apple Watch still pairs to my iPhone 16 Pro Max, so maybe that's not something to get upset about. Maybe it's designed that way, to allow you to slow down and take a breath a little, because that's something we can all benefit for. But comparing this to my Ultra 2 that is more than fast and more than responsive, and I truly never really have to wait for an app to hang, yeah, I'm going to have to decide that the Ultra 2 definitely wins this one, and I'm more than excited to see how Apple improves on this in the future, because the Ultra 2 has a significant improvement with the S9 chip over the S0 chip. The Ultra 2 also has on-device Siri, gesture support, and it just works, just like Apple promised. And the battery, this one could go all day. This one, you only get 18 hours, and that's fine. I mean, I don't believe this had a low power mode. It had power reserve back when we actually believed in that, and I'm more than happy Apple has doubled the battery life. Now, please, Apple, for the regular series Apple Watches, give us more battery life. Give us more battery life on the Ultra. You can go a weekend with the Ultra without charging it, possibly 3 days, but that's definitely a stretch. And I would love to see an Apple Watch that can last 4, 5, 6 days, maybe even 7. If I can go a week without charging my watch, not that I care, I just think that would make the experience so much better. And hey, this still has 18 hours of battery life, as Apple claimed. So we really haven't gotten anywhere on battery life. Now, features. In 2015, the Apple Watch actually looked completely different. There were features like glances and digital touch and that heartbeat sharing thing that no one probably ever used to send your heart rate to your friends, but it was there. And now, instead of these gimmicks, we have features like blood oxygen, not in the United States, temperature sensing, heart rate sensing, EKG, and just more, that you are in charge of your health with the Apple Watch. And I truly think we have seen a pivot with the Apple Watch going to health focus over a jewelry piece. The original couldn't even run watchOS 5, which didn't bring many features, but the Ultra 2 can run essentially half of iOS right on your wrist. Now, 10 years later, the Apple Watch went from a fashion accessory to a full-on survival tool that happens to tell the time. If you take a look here at this screen, just the screen size of 38 millimeters on the original Apple Watch to the 49 millimeters of the Apple Watch Ultra 2, you can't really compare it. And it's wild to see how far they've come. Same idea, but on a totally different scale. And to be fair, shout out to the original Apple Watch, because it has made it 10 years, it's still kicking, and here's to 10 more. And if you've had an Apple Watch since the beginning, let me know in the comment down below. Or if your first Apple Watch was the 2, 3, 4, 5, you know where I'm going. Let me know in the comment down below, because I'm truly interested to see, when did you get in the Apple Watch ecosystem and what was that turning point for you? So let me know in the comment down below. And while you're down there, if you want to hit like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that as well. And I want you to remember that today is a good day to make a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.